Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. This is a very special episode. I am, of course, joined by my lovely, lovable co-host, Sarah. But we have a special guest today, our new-ish top-tier patron. We've spoken with her before. She is an erotic writer. Can you imagine that? Nikki joins us today. Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So you were telling us you do this erotic fiction, and we just learned about a phenomenon which I was not aware of, which is cat boys.
Yes.
What is the cat boy?
You could call it a kink or like an artistic style. It's basically just a dude with like cat ears, a tail, collar, paws maybe. Typically in a maid outfit, it's just kind of something some people like dressing up as, some people like looking at them. I certainly like looking at them. just something fun for kind of the kink community to enjoy.
But now your erotic fiction is not about cat boys, because you said previously, right, that it involves monsters.
Yeah, I can write about almost anything, but my focus is typically monster and monstrous type creatures.
It's really interesting to me, like, because you told us, like, you have aspirations to, like, do this professionally. How big is the market for people who consume erotic literature, like, even generally speaking? I'm so, like, I don't read nothing.
So when I initially started to consider this as a potential career, I did some research on kind of how to go about it, what kind of income I can expect. And I read an article by a woman who had over 100 published pieces, just ebooks that she published herself, and she was making $10,000 a month.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to quit my job.
I mean, you saw how big 50 Shades got. That was kind of just an explosion, but that was just like a small piece of people who consume erotic literature and content.
That's true. I mean, I do. Okay, what would you say is the difference between erotic literature and romance, if there is one? Because I love a good romance novel.
Good question.
Romance typically has a plot. Erotic has typically a very loose plot.
There we
typically
go.
No character development. It's just focused on the sex.
Okay, love that.
So how long is kind of an average piece? Like, are you writing a 10-pager here? And, like, what percentage of that is sex?
It depends. There can be full-length erotic novels. There can be shorter novellas. I personally like to write just short stories, just specific scenes that have no plot, just meant to get people off. Typically between 1,000 and 3,000 words.
Wow, that's short. That's a lot.
I mean, novels are like 40,000, I think.
All right, well, I think it's great. I think it's a really cool thing. It's like, frankly, I have enjoyed erotic literature. I mean, this is deep in my past. I remember, God, this is like when you used to use torrents. You used to use like torrents to get porn for a minute there.
Oh yeah, LiveWire and all that.
Yeah, like a Kazaa or something. And I remember it was like erotic text. It like came as a zip file, and I unzipped it.
Whoa,
and there was a story.
zip file.
and this, you love a zip file. Thank you. Nice and compressed, all nice and snug in there. It's all cozy. So the title of the, God, I forgot about this. I can't believe this is coming out of my brain.
It's like a memory deep cut. I love it.
This is great. I'm so excited.
It said, the title of the thing was like erotic text for women. And I was like, yeah, but I'm sure it's fine. And I went in there and there was a story, and basically it was set at a football game, and they were both like on the field. So it was like courtside seats, but on a football field. And they were like under a blanket, and the guy was like making love to her under the blanket, and no one could see it. And then she like climaxed just as like something like as somebody scored a touchdown.
That's funny.
And it was hot.
Yeah.
It did it for me.
But lucky timing there.
I know, right? Good timing.
What are the chances? Anyway,
I just love that. Like, I just love that it's a zip file. Like, you had to get, I don't know, a Microsoft Word document in a zip file. This is killing me for some reason.
I know. No, it was like a torrent. Like, there was probably a password. It's like, enter in the password into the zip folder. It was like a whole process
back in the day.
I love it.
So you guys can follow Nikki on Twitter at they were people. They at were jackalope, right? But that's like actually said were, like a werewolf. That's the concept of
that's
the
an
handle.
easier way to spell it for sure.
Now the jackalope is interesting because a jackalope is a rabbit plus an antelope. Isn't that right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a folklore creature. I've always really liked them. I used to be really into Scooby-Doo, and one of the movies features one about aliens. I have 3 jackalope tattoos, and my car's license plate also is custom one that kind of says jackalope. I have a minor obsession with them. They're pretty cool.
How come?
I don't know. I like really weird stuff, and it's just something I was exposed to as when I was younger, and so it just stuck with me.
I like that. You don't hear that often on like dates or whatever when someone's like, so what's your favorite animal?
Jackalope.
I love it.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. And the reactions you get are very telling as well.
Yeah, what do people have a negative reaction?
Typically not, because I'm pretty good at making sure I go on dates with other weirdos.
That's so important.
You know, it's so funny because we just recorded the bonus app, and I'm just like, I was kind of saying stuff about being conventional and how I'm conventional, but like, just that it's important to know if you don't want to be conventional, like what you're missing out on and like what you're giving up. And I love that you just said that. You're like, yeah, I'm weird. I want to date weirdos. And it's just like, that is the shit I'm talking about because you're aligned with it and you know that's what you want. So that's perfect.
Exactly.
I also feel like it goes along with what I was saying because I was just saying like there's something out there for everybody.
Right, exactly.
Totes my goats. Can't believe I just said that. But here we are, people. We got one heck of a juicy app for you today. We're actually going to start off with some Guess the Verdict. Oh boy. AITA for telling my friend she has no right getting mad that her Netflix account got canceled. Nikki, hit me with your guess.
I'm going to say NTA.
Sarah?
I mean, I also think that because it's like, what did she just stop paying for it? Did her ex break up with her? So let's go with the NTA.
NTA is correct.
Yeah.
Now, what happened here is that Laura was watching a show. Mid-show, it gets cut off.
That sucks.
Laura then goes and vents to OP. Actually, she's complaining to OP, and then OP's like, why are you so upset? And then Laura's like, I'm just venting. I don't need to know what's morally right. I'm just venting. And then OP's like, you have no right to vent about this, which
What?
I actually didn't like.
No.
Yeah, wait, I don't agree with this at all. You can vent.
Yeah, let her vent. Like, I mean, that's annoying. It was mid-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tibble Tabs 1114 writes, NTA, that takes some really big entitlement to gripe about somebody being done giving you free access. She does not need to vent. She needs to grow up. And I'm like, no,
Boo.
sometimes you need to vent.
Here's the thing. If I was an asshole every time I vented about something that did not matter but made me feel better talking about it, nobody would like me. Nobody.
Oh my God, we'd
Right.
all be assholes.
Right, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
let people complain about shit.
Yeah, I mean, venting is a little selfish. It's not like necessarily a great interaction for the other person, but I kind of think of it as like, yeah, I'm going to vent on you, you vent on me, we'll do a little vent sesh, we'll move right on, baby. Like, it's got to happen. It's not an asshole move to vent.
Not at
No, and
all.
I would assume if they came to that person, they probably felt comfortable
Yeah.
venting to them, and then to receive that response, that wouldn't feel good.
They stepped on a vent.
Don't step on a vent.
A classic Danny-ism.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm flattered that you remember that.
Never forget it. Okay. AITA for kicking my niece out because of her necklace.
I'm going YTA.
I'm gonna take a risk and go NAH.
Ooh, risky. Spicy choices. I like it. The answer was NTA.
Oh, God.
Crazy. You wouldn't think. So the OP is, they specified a Catholic Christian. To me, that felt a little redundant, but I don't know how that stuff works. Anyway, OP's niece, who's 20, is atheist, staying with her. So OP made sure to like remove religious items from the guest room so it wouldn't seem like she's shoving the religion down her throat. And the niece has kind of a goth style. That's the background you need to know. The foreground is that one day the niece was in the kitchen and OP noticed she was wearing a rosary. She said, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And the niece said, "Oh, I found it in the house and I thought it was cute." OP said, "That's very sacred. It makes me uncomfortable that you have it on and using it as a necklace." And then the niece said, OP can't force her religion on her and to stop judging her. OP says, "That's my house, so you should change." And then, OP got called the asshole. The top verdict was NTA. If she had bought a necklace that looked like a rosary or had been one in the past, I might feel different. But if she found it in the house, that means it's yours. And there's a difference
I agree
between
with that.
body policing and asking she not convert your religious items into fashion accessories.
Yeah, I don't even think this has anything to do with religion. It's like, that's just straight up her rosary. Just give it back. There's nothing, it's like, there's just the law of things. that belong to
Truly.
people.
If someone's doing a kind thing for you, like taking you into their home, you just gotta, there's like a level of respect, there's a level of compromise. Like, I want this, well, I don't. Well, it's your house, you kind of gotta, give up some things, and it's just disrespectful, and yeah, that's Bad situation.
AITA for telling my sister, quote, try staying married longer than a year before giving me marriage advice.
Ouch. Sounds harsh.
Gonna take another risk in ESH.
Ooh, wow. You're playing the low percentages. I like it. Sarah?
Okay. I feel like it's going to be an NTA for some reason.
Get ready for the ride of a century.
Oh my God.
OP and hubby have a system where they make rules for each other. OP likes the system. OP acknowledges, however, that hubby is quote-unquote the alpha, but she has no issues with the rules, and they both agree on the rules when the rules come out. So, in front of OP's sister, hubby says a new rule. He says, in this family, we only buy San Pellegrino, not Perrier.
Okay.
And OP said, excitedly, seconded, sister then attacks OP's husband, making him out to be controlling, and said that OP was a strong, independent woman who doesn't need any rules. OP's sister went on about it for quite some time. OP got frustrated and said, try staying married longer than a year before giving me marriage advice. So, when I read this, I settled exactly at NTA.
Yeah.
I was like, it's their rules, it's their relationship, it's their thing.
That's why I said that.
But
Aha. Okay, what?
brace for impact.
Oh, God.
This is the most epic comment I have ever read in Am I the Asshole history. DNNSSHLY writes YTAOPYTA. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there are 9 links to old posts that OP made. Hyperlinks in the post. They did a deep dive.
Whoa.
They went into OP's post history and created the most elaborate court case about this situation based on her entire post history.
Whoa. Please post this in the group.
Her comment is longer than the post.
Holy
This is the
smack.
craziest thing I've ever seen.
Wait, so what's the gist?
Okay, so I think the biggest juice in it is the top hyperlink. She says your relationship rules sound pretty crazy. She links off to a post titled AITA for telling my sister try staying married longer than a year. Oh, is it the same thing? She had posted it before. What the heck is going on?
What?
I don't know, but I guess in this other post or in this comment she made on this post, I'm not sure what happened there, but she had said that one of the relationship rules was no opposite sex friendships.
What the fuck?
In this comment,
No.
she goes, as a side note, what happened to most of your friends being guys? Like, she actually ran a chronology on OP's life.
Whoa.
And so this was the top comment, 7.3K upvote. So like, we honestly just have to do this situation and really dive into this.
Oh, yeah.
comment.
Please text it to me. I want to read it after.
This is so much effort.
I know I'm silent, but my face says it all. If only you could see it.
Like,
If
this is some
only.
expert level sleuthing that I just need to read.
No, yeah, we could do I could do a whole episode just about this comment. This is
Oh my God,
outrageous.
let's do it.
This is an effort post if I've ever seen one.
That's
I would listen to
amazing.
it.
So you guys were both wrong. You guys both missed it, right?
We
yeah,
were
because you said
both
ESH and you said NTA, so this actually went YTA.
Damn. Okay, this one might be an easier one. AITA for not supporting my daughter in something insignificant about her future career.
I already don't like mom, YTA,
Wow,
I'm
why
gonna
do you
go
think it's a
YTA
mom?
because I'm
That's
sexist,
I
probably.
actually
Telling.
assumed it was the dad.
The biases come out.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, Nikki, what did you think it was?
Same thing as Danny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually don't know how I feel about this, but essentially, like, OP's daughter is in college and loves working with animals or children. Also, is like super introverted, and OP's daughter really wants to be a children's social worker or a play therapist, something like that. So apparently she took one of those career quizzes and it told her she'd be suited to be a probation officer or a clinical psychologist. And the daughter's upset about it, and OP kind of just brushed it off and told her to ignore it. And OP's wife is mad he is not being more supportive. The top comment was, YTA a little here. Not so much because you aren't buying into the BS of a stupid job placement quiz, but because it seems like your daughter is a really anxious person, and it doesn't sound like that you are engaging with her in a way that is productive given her mental health.
Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts, that he was being dismissive of something that was important to her.
There you go.
So I was wrong about the verdict. Oh, no, I was right about the
were
verdict, but
both
wrong
right.
about.
Yeah, you guys were both
okay.
right.
Well, I was wrong, though, because I thought it was a mother, so I still kind of really lost.
I guess so.
It's been a long, dry spell. People, Sarah is the guest of Verdict champion. Nikki, if it's the Mario Kart little thing, Sarah's on number 1, Nikki's number 2, I'm number 3 on the very low tier. Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon. If you're like Nikki and you love the show, she's paying $25 a month. Nikki, thank you so much. It is so flattering that you do that.
Of course, I said, I really try to support other artists as much as I can because it's a tough industry, and without art, the world would be a really boring place. And I'm in my car for like 10 hours a day, and it's just really nice to have something to listen to and look forward to and enjoy. So I want to support that.
Thank you. You're going to make Danny cry.
You're making me cry a little bit.
Oh my God, it happened.
Oh my God, I did.
So sweet.
I'm not crying. I'm just like tearing up a little.
No, that's so sweet. Thank you.
That's genuinely amazing. You can join us on Patreon, and then you can do episodes like this, call-in show. You got me. You cracked me. I'm crying a little bit. Okay, energy shift. Here we go. People, we got one heck of an app for you today. Our second story of the day. AITA for telling my daughter she indulges her cat too much and needs to grow up for her own sake. Fuck yeah, I love it. But first, it's would I be the asshole if I gave my delivery driver 1 star? Yesterday, I placed an order through a popular grocery delivery service. The delivery driver did an okay job shopping for my items. He made a few rookie mistakes, though. Not a huge deal, and I still plan on giving him a good review and a nice tip. He finished shopping, and I got the notification that he was on the way to my house. Bear in mind, my house is only about 20 minutes from the grocery store that he was coming from. 30 minutes pass, and I'm wondering where this guy is, but I can't message him because he left the chat in the app. Another 10 minutes go by. He finally messages me saying he can't find my house, but that he's on my street. So I go outside and stand in the driveway, but I can't see him. Y'all, I sat there and argued with this dude for the next 45 minutes, telling him he was obviously in the wrong place because he was not continuously passing my house like he said. Come to find out, this dude is in another city 30 minutes away. The neighborhood he went to happened to have a street with the same name as mine. He had to go back and replace my milk and frozen foods because they had basically melted in his car while he drove around aimlessly for an hour and a half. He started shopping at 2:30 and did not get to my house until 5. While I'd been waiting, I called my dad and talked to him to vent. Obviously, my fiance knew what was going on too, but once he figured out the driver had gone to the wrong neighborhood 35 minutes away, he thought it was hilarious and even felt bad for the guy. The guy shows up, he and my fiance get to talking, and this man ends up mentioning he has suffered 2 heart attacks and is recovering from cancer. Well, of course, I feel like somewhat of a piece of shit for being so hard on him. Fiance gave him a $20 tip because he got such a laugh out of it, didn't tell him to his face though. My dad says I should rate him honestly, 1 star plus pointing out the obvious issues. My fiance says that it was a miscommunication, I should cut him some slack, and that I would be a total dick if I gave a bad review and the guy lost his job. TBH, I'm really not sure if I would be the asshole or not.
Damn, that is kind of funny.
So let me get these details right. This dude drove to another city because he thought that's where she was. He replaced all the items that went bad because of his issue, and she had to wait less than 3 hours since she ordered it, and I just come on. I know mistakes happen. Yes, you would be the asshole for giving 1 star. We're in a pandemic. Come on, there's worse things to worry about.
1 star is a super extreme review. I don't know that I've ever given a 1-star review.
With some places, that could mean an instant, you lose your job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I know with Uber, I remember one time our driver was telling us how, pretty much any ride that doesn't get 5 stars, they're like, yo, what's up? It really counts as a strike against them. Whereas we think 4 stars is meh, it was fine.
OP said it was a very popular grocery app, which makes me think that they have a business model where their employees are disposable. So 1 bad review, it's oh, we'll replace you, you're gone kind of thing. And so to do that to someone who already made that much effort despite their mistake and is also recovering from cancer, you're willing to just let them lose their job over waiting a little extra time.
Oh my God, is it bad that I forgot about the cancer part? Because I was you shouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think it's bad because the cancer part makes it worse. It's not what makes it bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Part of me doesn't love the heart attacks and cancer thing. I think it's shitty that he has to work a job and he's recovering from cancer because our society has a poor safety net. I don't know that I think it's fair for OP to feel like they need to like give this guy extra slack just because of his horrible circumstances. That I honestly do feel like, honestly, if he had just said, I'm recovering from cancer, I'd have been like, all right, he's recovering from cancer. But no, he had to include the 2 heart attacks as well. It's like a lot.
It doesn't seem like he said, oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm recovering from cancer and had 2 heart attacks. He had a conversation with the fiance where it came up. Like, I work customer service, so I get into weird conversations sometimes that get really personal. I don't think that's like outrage, like weird.
You're right. And well, and the way OP worded it was this man ends up mentioning, and it was to the fiance, so that doesn't even feel like it came from necessarily a super defensive place, but maybe just an earnest place. Mm-hmm. And you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck OP for being so humorless. This is pretty funny. Like, this is a very funny misunderstanding that had to be supported by a huge coincidence. Like, what are the chances?
It almost could be like a bit in a comedy stand-up show. Like,
or a Seinfeld episode for sure.
Top comment, Purple 2048 writes, you would be the asshole. He was obviously apologetic. It was a mistake. People are allowed to make mistakes. Give him the benefit of the doubt, especially after he told you about himself and that he's struggling. If you feel incapable of leaving a non-negative review, just don't leave any review at all and don't worry about it.
Okay, I actually kind of feel like you're still an asshole if you're only not giving him a 1-star review because he's struggling. Like, this to me is like, this person honestly did fulfill their job and sort of went above and beyond by going back and replacing all the stuff after an honest mistake was made that, you know, is it really anyone's fault if your GPS takes you to the wrong place? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that there's times I deliver pizza. There are times that I'll put an address into my GPS, tap the one that I think it is, and then I'll be like, wait, this is like an hour and a half away. This is definitely not right. But if it was just one town, one city over, like, I don't think that's ridiculous. Like, it's an easy mistake to make.
I'm happy you said that because, like, I did have some objection to, like, how easy is this mistake to make. Obviously, I've input a wrong address before, but it's very uncommon. But yeah, I guess you're right. And there's all these weird addresses and different styles, especially if it's like a couple towns near each other. I think we all agree on this one. Would I be the asshole if I gave my delivery driver 1 star, considering he made up for it? OP got everything they needed, and you're right, Nikki. They really didn't wait that long door to door. I mean, good Lord, what's the rush? What are you making?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten my actual Instacart in about that time, like from the moment I placed it with no mistakes.
So I think we agree on this one. Would I be the asshole if I gave my delivery driver 1 star? Yeah, you would be, YTA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Telling my daughter she indulges her cat too much and needs to grow up for her own sake.
Harsh.
My daughter, 28F, lives in a very small apartment in town with her boyfriend because she's still a student. So clutter piles up quickly in such a small space. I believe that living in a nice and clean environment is crucial for productivity and mental health. Oh boy. Her place isn't dirty, but the way she appeases her cat are chaotic and lead to a messy home. Last time I was there, I told her she needs to start keeping a grown-up home because she isn't a child and she isn't living in a dorm anymore. She needs to be more careful about tidying because she is aiming for a professional degree, and I think that living well now is preparation for that. Good Lord, OP, I don't like you.
That's intense.
Same.
Very intense. Examples of the clutter are : they actually used a : in an AITA submission. This is very
An asshole
rare.
for that.
Examples of the clutter. She constantly has an old ratty blanket laying unfolded on her couch, quote, because the cat likes to nap there, and another in the corner of her bedroom for the same reason. There's a visible cat carrier with pillows and blankets in her main living space because the cat likes it. Bullet point 3. She has a little cat bed on her kitchen table and says the sun comes in there, and of course, the cat likes it. Bullet
And
point
get
4.
this, she even has a bowl of cat food out on the floor.
I know, right? There's a little cat nest in a shelf of every closet of the apartment, which limits storage space. There's cat toys on the floor. She keeps cat litter in a storage closet, and the door is constantly open, and it looks messy, and you can see the litter. There are cat food dishes in multiple rooms, and pieces of food are always littered around and need sweeping. She even nailed up a cat shelf on the wall, which just is an ugly carpeted piece of wood. Overall, it looks like the cat's apartment rather than hers. She leaves water dishes in weird places, like on side tables and under desks, which looks odd and messy. Wow, I am already tired of this person. Whew, I know the cat sleeps in her bed with her, so leaving all these extra things around because the cat likes it. It looks really messy and it's unnecessary. She's the pet owner and she can decide where the cat sleeps. She just refuses to and lives like this all the time. I've also had pets before and understand she loves the cat and wants it to be happy, but I never had an animal take over my home this way. She treats it like a roommate. I wasn't angry when I brought it up, just trying to get her to see how she could live in a nicer environment if she dialed back on cat space. I said she should try to have a more adult home and focus on making it look nice and cozy for herself, not just living around an animal, so she could prepare for professional life. She laughed and said thanks for the idea, but she won't take it and said I'm being a bit of an asshole. She wouldn't even consider it for a minute. I think she's being immature, and while she isn't being mean, I don't think it makes me an asshole to try to guide her to a more adult way of living, but she sure does. Was I being an ass?
Okay, I don't think on its face trying to guide your kids to a more adult way of living makes you an asshole, but I do think that this mom, and I don't know why I think it's a mom, probably because it reminds me of my mom, but my mom's not this intense by any means, is super extreme.
Yeah. I actually started this one kind of angry. I'm like, why do they care so much about how much this woman loves her cats? Like, she's living independently. She's living with a partner. She's taking care of a creature that's dependent on her. What more do you want from a grown-up? Like,
That's fair.
And then as we kept reading, I was like, I wonder if OP just thinks or is unhappy that nobody loves them as much as their daughter loves her cat. Like, that's kind of what it seems like
That's deep.
Yeah, right? You look at all these nice things my daughter does for her cats. It makes me really angry. It's like, come on, why? Let's get deeper into this. Why are you feeling this way?
I love that. I think that's a great psychoanalysis of OP. Yeah, I mean, I think there is a way to guide, and then there's a way to dictate. This, just the way this is written, feels very dictatory. On top of that, like, I don't really appreciate this. She's kind of trying to tell herself a story at the same time, which is like, if you have a dirty house, you can't succeed as a professional, you know, and that's just not true. I don't know what industry this is. Certainly, like, your high-wired lawyer types and your finance types, yeah, they keep a clean and tidy home. That tends to go with that profession, but they're not the same thing. They're not related, you know, and so I don't really think these terms that she's throwing, like immature and adult, are appropriate or effective. It's a very condescending way to speak to someone.
I would also be curious to know if OP would feel the same if their daughter's cat was a child, like a human child. Would they still be like, oh, there's toys everywhere, their crib is here, their bouncer is in the storage closet? Like, would they still have the same complaints?
I would hope not, but I could picture this person being like that. Like, truly. And there's crumbs on the counter. I mean, can you imagine it?
I think this, you know, mother, we've interpreted it's a mother, but we don't know, right?
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, this person is very type A. They keep a very tidy home, and, you know, maybe it's very important to them. Like, I actually think that's a much more fair way to say this, is to actually frame it in terms of herself and just be like, look, I have to be honest with you. I feel a little bit uncomfortable when I'm in your space because it just feels very cluttered to me. I'd be happy to help you clean it up if you would let me. And I think as a mother, that's very appropriate. But I don't like her attacking tone and her, like, sanctimonious tone. I don't think that needs to be here. I mean, look, her complaint isn't entirely invalid. I do think you can cross a point of messiness where it's like, yeah, that shit will mess with you. You know, when your house is, like, destroyed, it messes with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like my mom has also definitely, like, sort of not told me that I could live more like an adult, but probably when I had just, like, a mattress on the floor was like, you know, there are things.
You know, I've been living independently for like almost a decade now, and my dad is still like, when are you going to grow up? Why don't you do things this way? And it's like, I survived this long. Like, at some point, you got to just understand your kids are adults, and the way they live their life isn't always meant to please you. And just like, don't come over if the house is a mess, maybe.
That's legit.
Spot on. Why don't you invite me over since your house is so great?
Right.
Aqua Regis writes, YTA, last time I was there, I told her she needs to start keeping a grown-up home because she isn't a child and she isn't living in a dorm anymore. When has anyone ever responded well to being talked to like that? Yeah, that's...
Not once, never.
Never.
Probably never.
No way to address a person. Jenny there writes, YTA, things look messy and unnecessary in her apartment and you don't like it? Good job. You don't live there. She's 28. She's an adult. I'm not sure that you really are, though.
Ooh, sick burn.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people are like this in conflicts and they don't like, I mean, this is a woman. She's 28 years old, for God's sakes. Like, if she was 22, I'd be like, all right, you're letting it slip out a bit because she's kind of a kiddo. But like, this is quite a develop. Like, that's who she is, Mom. Like, yeah, that's just how this is going to be.
And again, living independently with a partner and supporting yourselves and a cat, like, I think she's killing it.
She's killing it.
Also, none of this sounds bad. Like, I don't know, if there was cat litter strewn everywhere and I can't think of other bad examples, then like, all right, then okay, you can say something and I would be like, okay, you can even be a little bit harsh if you want. But it's just like, oh, it's apparent that a cat lives there.
Like the way she was talking about the litter being stored in the closet and the closet door having to be open because of it. It was like almost like she thought she was feeling some way about like her using the closet as a litter box. Like that's the level of over the top I feel like we're at.
I see eye to eye. Look, I'm not a cat person. I am open to it. However, I have extended an olive branch to the cats. They have not reciprocated, but
oh yeah, no, I follow you on Twitter. I'm well aware. I know your beef with cats.
I respect the cat, make no mistake, but it's like I don't have a problem with a lot of her complaints because I do hate that aspect of having the litter in the house and stuff, but it's just like she just doesn't realize like these are your complaints, like so that has no relevance to your daughter's home, so like you shouldn't have a cat, lady, you know.
It's the same thing with the girl who threw the rock out the window.
Yes.
Just like, all right, and you know, with your opinion.
Right. This was a situation where OP loved a rock that her grandfather gave her, and she rubbed it. She rubbed it while she drove, and
I remember this one.
Threw it out the window. AITA for telling my daughter she indulges her cat too much and needs to grow up for her own sake. I think we all agree. A wholehearted, huge YTA.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Now this is very exciting. AITA for not telling the guy I'm dating that I write erotica.
I'm so excited for this one. Let's go.
This is great. I, 20F, met a guy through a dating app, 25M, about a month ago. We're both working quite a lot, so we'd only met twice. Public park, 5 feet apart.
First of all, it's 6 feet. OPYTA.
Since then, we've video called a handful of times too. I'll also flag them for video called written as one word. We live in a society. I write short erotic stories. I do commissions for people with specific fantasies. It's decently fun, sometimes disturbing, but it makes a bit of extra money. Well, the third time we met at my apartment while I was on the phone with my boss from my real job, in the other room he found a notebook and started flipping through it. The notebook had some drafts for new commissions, so I understand him being a bit weirded out. Once I got off the phone, he blew up. He was very upset that I had been lying to him and that I'm a pervert.
Oh boy.
Now, I don't agree with this. We've had 3 real dates. We barely knew each other, and this is not something I'd share with someone I don't know well. AITA for not sharing it from the get-go.
Personally, if I was in this situation, I'm very upfront about what I do. I'm very open about it, but I understand why some people would want to keep it to themselves because, you know, some people might blow up and call them perverts. No, I kind of get that hesitancy, especially when you don't know someone well. The part where he's like calling her a liar, that just like is a super red flag to me. That's like, ooh, is this really about the erotica, or is this like your red flags flying early on, you know?
You know, lying by omission is a real thing, but this is not it. Like, you don't know each other that well. Why would it have come up?
Yeah, could it be lying by omission if it just never came up? Because it's not even her real job. It's just like a side hobby almost.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Word vomit my whole life story on the first date?
Seems like that's kind of what he's expecting.
Right, and it also is a sexual thing, you know, like who the fuck would even open a relationship right away, really, with that? I think that could also be very jarring, just to even bring in your sexuality.
Oh, trust
True.
me, it is jarring. Speaking from firsthand experience as the person who's very like, oh, sorry, I didn't know that was too much.
Well, you said you do lead with this, or you will be open and upfront about this, right?
Yes, I'm very open about just basically everything. I think I have it even written on my dating profile when I had one, that I was an erotic author.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to lead with it, especially if it's a big part of your identity and it's who you are, because it's like you're going to get there eventually. I mean, anyone who would have the reactive impulse to call you a pervert, which you sound like you're in the Scarlet Letter or some shit. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's erotic text, you freak. Yeah, I mean, you would want to filter those people out anyway.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be upfront about, but she's under no obligation to be upfront about it, especially when she doesn't know him well enough to know that, or know whether or not he would react like this.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've been talking about her sin, which honestly, what is her sin? I say nothing. I don't think there's any
Agreed.
case. He read her diary, more or less.
Yeah, he went through her stuff.
He went through her stuff.
The third time they met, too.
Yeah, that's bizarre. He was snooping. That's not good.
Another red flag.
Absolutely. That's a huge boundary violation. You'll go through someone's notebook.
I'm so mad you didn't tell me about this thing I snooped through your apartment to find out. Like, you can't do that. That's not how that works.
Mr. Hates Us writes, are we not going to discuss that he came to your house as a guest and while you were preoccupied, he went through your stuff? Notebooks are private, not cool, without asking, and then called you names because you hadn't yet told him about it? NTA, dump the chump and find a new one. And I don't really see a lot of grounds. Like, I guess there's some interesting thing of like how much you need to go into this. I mean, I certainly think you do eventually would want to be with someone where you could be transparent about the fact that you write erotica, you know, of course, right? But like, I don't think it's like obligatory to get to right away. Like, why would that be a deal breaker? It's like writing.
Yeah, I think there's
like, I gotta tell you my dreams too. Like, sheesh.
Right. There's a certain point that will come up, but it's not necessarily her fault that it hadn't yet.
If you have a super specific kink and it's like mission critical to you and like you need people to go for it, like I'm thinking more of like a furry or something like very unconventional where like a lot of people are going to be like, that's a deal breaker, then I would say, like, why not get to it sooner rather than later?
Another possibility, this story is so cut and dry that she's not the asshole. You have to wonder if she is a little shy and reserved about what she writes to even consider that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have hid this. Like, maybe she does feel some insecurities or some shyness or maybe some reservation about telling people, which is why she's like, was I in the wrong? Because she's very clearly not in the wrong, but clearly she thinks so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, you would probably know more about that. I mean, do you get guff from people that you write erotica? Or do you like, you know, I mean, is there something maybe? I mean, this girl is very young; she's only 20. You know, is this a tough thing to tell people?
I would say so. I would say it's just something very personal, and it can be very intimate to share with someone, and they just weren't there yet, and I don't think she's in the wrong for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this
feel like she also just may not have a lot of like dating experience to second guess something like this.
I didn't even think about the age gap. It's not really a huge one, but at that age it kind of is, and so that might also be kind of what's weirding me out about him being so like explosive about it, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you.
She dodged a bullet.
It comes off very, very controlling.
I think you're spot on
all
too
of
with the age gap. You know, this is a girl who's been in college for 2 years and a guy who's been graduated from college for 3 years. That's pretty sizable, like just where you are in life difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, she can't even like go to a bar, and he, you know, is already working.
AITA for not telling the guy I'm dating that I write erotica. I think this is an open and shut case. We all agree, NTA, and he is.
Great.
We do agree.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon. We love to see it. Patreon.com/AITA pod. We're going to do something a little crazy here. We're going to actually do a fourth situation, people. That's right.
All right.
Now, this was a request which we love to get. This is a true story. I tried to capture it to my best ability. So we'll just go into it, but it's based on a news story. AITA for Disqualifying disqualifying a 14-year-old from a fishing contest. I run a fishing contest largely held for good fun in Vallecito, a village near Durango, Colorado. This year, the contest's second place spot was won by a kid. Unfortunately, the rules state that all winners must have displayed a fishing license on their vehicle. The second place winner, being 14, did not have a vehicle, and his father, who brought him in his car, did not display the license. Because of this, I was forced to reference the rules, which repeatedly stated that one must display the license as required by Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The father of the second place winner claims that the person running registration asked if the 14-year-old drove to the event, and since he did not, stated he did not have to purchase a license. The father further contends, quote, watching my son be told he didn't do everything by the book, watching him be told that he cheated and he wasn't an honest sportsman, it hurt. The father also attempted to suggest there was a personal layer here, saying my organization was, quote unquote, taking their issues with me out on my son. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't because they don't like me. Maybe they feel they're just in their determination of what happened. Because of the father's testy attitude, we were eventually forced to contact the sheriff's department. The father was detained. Yeah, but only because he had an outstanding warrant, not because of this incident. Hundreds of comments surfaced on our Facebook slamming my organization for disqualifying the 14-year-old. Look, if it's any solace, the attendees at the event ended up giving this second place winner $370 cash to make up for the prize money, which we refused to give. While I was a stickler for the rules, the reality is that they exist to preserve wildlife. Licenses aren't just arbitrary. They help quell unnecessary fishing that could damage ecosystems, etc. In my view, this kid's father has a history of ignoring licenses and throwing caution to the wind. In view of all of this, I stuck to the rules. But the real question, AITA.
Okay, this is interesting because what is the personal vendetta? Is that the father never gets licenses?
Exactly. He is a habitual non-licensed getter. He hates a license for some reason. It's a $5 license, so I don't understand what his problem is.
Oh my God, that sucks. Huh.
He keeps referencing rules. I'm wondering if they're his rules for the contest he's holding or if they're like the Colorado Parks and Wildlife rules.
No, they are the Colorado Parks and Wildlife rules.
But like, are they holding the contest? Do their rules have any authority over this contest, or is that just something he's using to be like, no, we can't give you this?
Well, I don't know how.
It seems like it was a miscommunication that resulted in not getting the license because he didn't drive. I guess whoever drives theoretically would get the license, but he didn't personally drive, but he competed.
It's kind of like somebody at a lower level let this fly, and then someone at a higher level said, no, you need a license. In fairness to OP, it was repeatedly emphasized that you need a license. It was like part of the literature that was published. It was said during the day. Like, it was definitely not subtle.
Some of the way he's phrasing things, though, is confusing me. The first line says, I run a fishing contest. Down below, it also says, make up for the prize money, which we refuse to give. It doesn't seem like he's disqualified because they had to based on the rules from the Parks and Wildlife. It just seems like he was like, well, my rules weren't followed, so even though, this should be fine, I'm gonna kind of put my foot down and be like, nope, my rules, my way.
Well, I wrote this, but I think that's really how it's reflected in the news story. Like, I do think this one individual apparently made this choice, and it was his choice to make. There is a gap between the organizations involved. You see, it's the Vallecito Conservation and Sporting Association's event, and they are enforcing and I guess promoting the purchasing of the permits, which are required by the actual state agency, which is the Colorado Wildlife Department or whatever.
But so I read the article and the dad was there. The dad also was fishing elsewhere, just not in the competition. So why didn't the dad pay the fee?
Well, the dad was fishing. The dad was fishing somewhere else. He dropped the son off.
But then, if he's fishing somewhere else in that park, shouldn't he still have to have that permit, not just in the contest?
I think you might be kind of getting to the core of what OP is pissed about and why he did do the rule. Because this guy, go ahead. Well, no, this guy was a habitual non-permit getter. He would never get the fucking permit, and this guy knew it, and he would find any excuse to not get the permit,
I guess my next question is just, what harm would it have been to just give the boy the prize?
Yeah, deduct $5 from it. Like, come on.
Right, and attendees at the event gave him money to make up for it, so they weren't upset about it. It seems like this guy was just singling him out, being like, you broke my rules, so you can't have this. It didn't seem like it would upset anyone else. Didn't seem like there were any actual consequences. Why?
Yeah, I honestly kind of agree.
And I mean, did he not win enough? The guy was hauled off in a police car anyway.
My God.
That's a pretty good own. Can't you just give the kid the money?
Truly.
Alana C writes, does a 14-year-old need any sort of fishing license in your state? If not, YTA. If so, did he have the required license? If he had a required license, then yes, YTA. Yeah, I think he did have the required license because there was no required license. That's what was explained to him.
Yeah.
Sarah M.,
That
people
sucks.
like you should never hold authority of any kind over others. Make this right. Give that child his prize money. Give the family
Whoa.
back the income they lost when the father was detained in jail because of you. Resign. Whoa, Sarah.
I love that energy.
She's
Dang.
ready.
Little much, but I love the
Resign.
energy.
Love it.
Yeah, I gotta say that I don't know enough, but, you know, based on the description here, father might have had some kind of emotional display. And the fact that he got taken away has nothing to do with the contest and everything to do with the warrant, which is definitely not the contest fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like the contest owes this family like lost wages because the dad had an outstanding warrant. But like, again, I respect the energy level.
I wonder how much of a fuss, though, the father did raise, because I would think, just based on OP's attitude, if something significant had happened, he would have detailed it rather than saying testy attitude. Seems like that was maybe a bit of a Karen move, like, oh, you're upset about this? Well, you know, gonna call the cops on you.
Yeah, that is pretty Karen-y. Dissenting comments, Catalina P writes, NTA, the dad is over here trying to guilt y'all into giving his kid the win, and as the one who's in charge of his son, he should have followed the rules as the legal guardian of the kid. Yeah, but the dad wasn't in the contest. Like, I don't think that lines up. The dad wasn't in the contest, so if the dad was... the dad is in no place to break the rules because he wasn't in the contest. He was breaking the law.
I feel like it was a miscommunication that like the organization should have owned it and been like, all right, we fucked up. So like, cause they did. They told the kid he didn't need it based on like some technicality that I sort of feel like anyone with like a brain should have put two and two together.
I also think saying guilt is a little dramatic. Like, I think he was just wanting his son to win the prize that he earned.
He earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won. Fair and square.
One more
Permit or no.
dissenting. Nico S says, read the article, dad knew he needed a pass and he doesn't like paying them, so he tried to make a martyr out of his son. F that guy.
That also is a fair judgment.
I mean, I'm not saying the dad also isn't in the wrong.
There we go.
Obviously, he could have done things differently, but...
Yeah, I mean, the article simply says, Darren's father said the person conducting registration asked Darren if he drove to the event. Darren said he was 14 and did not drive. The registration attendant said he did not have to pay the fee, Bowling said. So it seems
Yeah, it
to
kind of
me-
sounds like they fucked up by being like way too literal in their questioning. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, did you drive? No. Okay, but are you going to participate? Yes, no.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Still, their oversight should not be lead to the, especially because this is trivial. And you guys got to understand, Vallecito, I looked it up. It's like a town of 400.
Oh my gosh.
Like, let
Yeah,
the
Every
kid-
person in that town gave him $1, basically.
I don't think Durango's... You're right. I've been to Durango. It's not huge itself, but I'm from one of the bigger cities in Colorado, so maybe that's just in comparison.
There's a time to stick to the rules and be official. This is not it. AITA for disqualifying a 14-year-old from a fishing contest. I think we agree YTA and the 14-year-old isn't.
Yes. But I think the dad is. But
Yeah,
there's
I
not
was-
really a verdict for that.
Right.
NTA +1 or YTA +1.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening in. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, this was so fun.
Awesome. Well, we will see you guys next Monday morning.